I'm going to go right back to you immediately because, see, this Sony topic is two-tiered. And I want to really get into what you talked about on your video. So, folks, the video that I'm referring to, he posted today, and it was that a lot of the Xbox fan base is angry at the new CFO for the announced direction change. Now, the tweet I have,
fan base.
I said, okay, thank you for the PlayStation fan base. What did I say, Xbox? Oh my God. That's like when you supposedly said on your podcast, God of War and not Gears of War. I was there. You said Gears of War. It's fine. But thank you for the correction. So the tweet I have in front of me is from Genki_JPN. Now, of course, when I use someone's work, whether it be a tweet, whether it be an article, I do have to give credit where credit is due. And Genki goes on to say the new CEO or the CFO, Lynn Tayo, says that there have been two major changes to Sony Interactive Entertainment since the recent leadership change. And when this is what she goes on to say. Before, sell-in units was the focus on now management was the focus, but now management is focused on engagement and or MAUs that's going to help them with leading to profitability. But the second point of contention here, and this is where, you know, you said in your video that even though she didn't say it, you kind of felt that she was alluding to it, and I agree. And I'll read it verbatim. It says, financial discipline within the first-party studios. And I quote, in the past, there were various issues. We are still halfway, but I think the mindset has changed significantly. And I think even though she's not saying it so much, and I believe you said it in your video, she was talking about Concord. And this financial discipline that she was referring to could also mean the other 9 games, the 8 or 9 games that were canceled. Because again, if if me and you are hanging out and I draw something on a piece of paper, that's considered development, right? And there was no money spent. But if you spend 2, 3, 5 years on a game that just gets shut down, that's millions of dollars that has been wasted. And just for, complete context right here, Concord itself cost upwards over the 7 years that it was in development, $400 million. And that's money they're never going to get back because this game came out and it was a disaster. They shut it down. It's never coming back. Let's get your thoughts on this financial discipline and this change to MAUs, because again, it's always been with PlayStation fans, console sale. And look, the PS5, 77 million consoles out in the wild. That's amazing. There's no arguing that's a lot of consoles. But like you said in your video and what you said in the podcast with the guys, PlayStation gamers don't buy games. And a perfect example of that is what happened with Astrobot, one of my favorite games of last year. Apparently not so much for PlayStation Nation. Let's get your thoughts, man.
Well, yeah. I love what she said about financial discipline because, that's pretty obvious. Like you just said, you don't cancel 10 games in 3 years and expect everything to be okay. You wasted time and money because in today's industry, time is very important because if a AAA game is taking 5 to 6 years to develop and you wasted 3 or 4 years, you just wasted millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel what she said, financial discipline, that's 100% what she was talking about. You guys are wasting money pretty much. You're wasting money. You're spending money doing things and we're getting no return on our investment. Clear as day. That's what she was talking about. Concord, an absolute disaster. That game will go down as one of the biggest flops of all time. Not just a PlayStation, not just Xbox, of anybody. One of the biggest flops of all time.
It might be worse than E.T.
Listen, how many games? Boom. How many games?
Oh, it's definitely worse than E.T. E.T. still sold millions of copies. This thing sold, like 20,000 or some shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
How
it is
many
absolutely
games
worse.
Come out and then it's canceled. I've never seen.
I've never seen
right?
anything like it. Yeah.
So as far as the MAUs, if you look at MAUs, right, every month, every week, or whenever we look at those charts, those games are the same games as a service. We see Call of Duty, we see, Minecraft, we see, Roblox, Fortnite, the same games every month. PlayStation is huge, right? They have the market share. They have 77 million consoles out there. The casuals chose the PlayStation 5 as their console of choice.
Mm-hmm.
So PlayStation see the the money coming in from these games. They want their own first party game like that, right? They haven't been able to do it yet, but at the same time, engagement is more important nowadays, because this is not 2006. Before it was buy our console, then buy our games.
Yeah,
cool. Now it's okay, buy our console, buy our games, or you can buy our games on PC. In PlayStation's case, they want engagement on their titles. Of course, the consoles are still important. They're not saying the consoles are not important, but they're just not as important as they used to be, right? Because this isn't just an Xbox thing. People used to say, oh, Xbox doesn't care about console sales because they're getting their butt whooped, because they're losing. They're not selling consoles. Listen, now we have the big bad PlayStation saying some of the same things that Phil Spencer and company said for years. What they've been saying for years. It's about engagement. It's about MAUs, because if you have this single player game, 20 hours long, you beat the game, that's it. That worked fine 20 years ago. That worked fine even 15 years ago. But in today's times, these game budgets are so crazy that these companies are looking for more money back in their pockets over time. That's why they have games as a service. That's why they bought Bungie. They thought Bungie could help them with their with their games as a service strategy, with their live service games. And so far, Bungie hasn't really, done that. But we'll see what happens in the future. So I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna shut up. I just feel that this is a different time, and people need to open their eyes. This isn't the same Xbox. This isn't the same PlayStation. Right now, Nintendo is still Nintendo, but maybe even eventually Nintendo first-party games will go up in budget. I mean, but Nintendo has a good thing because their games sell like crazy. Their first-party games sell like crazy. And this is what's going on, and I think PlayStation realizes. I don't think PlayStation wants to put their games on PC. I don't think they want to do that. I think that's something they have to do. I don't think they wanted to pivot completely to live service games. I felt that's something they felt they had to do, and that's why they're doing it. Even though they haven't been successful with it yet, with the exception of Helldivers 2, they're going to keep on trying. They're not going to stop trying. So we'll see what happens in the future.
It's very interesting. You say that maybe PlayStation honestly doesn't want to do games as a service, and you said in the video they're gonna have no choice but to do it.
I think they have to do it.
The problem right now, Hargeet, is, and I love that you threw the Concorde picture behind you. The problem is this: Sony spends a lot of money on their games. A perfect example of money spent was the $315 million it cost to do Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 got one-upped by Helldivers 2, right? It didn't sell as much as... Now, you can say, why? Why didn't it sell as much? Is it Spider-Man fatigue? Is it Marvel fatigue? I couldn't tell you, quite frankly. I thought the game was amazing, but it is what it is. It didn't sell as much as they wanted it to. And you know what? Maybe that's going to be a trend. But they had already forecast a $400+ million budget for Spider-Man 3, which then, of course, a couple of rumors came out of that big leak from Insomniac where they were going to try and split it into 3 games, kind of stretching it out. And of course, that is ultimately to make money. Now, how that's going to affect the development of it, we don't know, because there's been no real talk on it. But the switch to MAUs is a very, very interesting thing because, traditionally, and listen, let's call a spade here. PlayStation is a very traditional-esque company, right? They're very traditional in the way they do things, and it has been for years that console sales are the priority, getting people in. But, when they say MAUs, see, and Dirt, you read off a couple of people that said some pretty silly things, actually, in your video that were a bit head-scratching. And again, I understand the console war shenanigans, and you want to, defend your console of choice. That's all fine and good, but if it ain't making dollars, it ain't making sense, right? Especially to the corporations. I mean, that's just a fact. But Hargeet, MAUs don't start and stop at selling your games on just your own brand, your own platform, your own console. It doesn't. MAUs are used when you are selling your wares pretty much everywhere. And I have a number in front of me. Now this, let me just pull this up real quick here. Hold on just a second. Where is it? So Colt Eastwood put out a tweet, and this is pretty interesting when you consider it's a 5-to-1 ratio. Now this is coming off of the financials. Colt has PlayStation at 123 million MAUs. It sounds like a lot. That's a lot of human beings. Xbox has over 500 million monthly active users. And that's where Sony wants to be. Now, why is Xbox at 500? Because you can play their things anywhere and everywhere. And that's why, again, listen, Dirt, you've talked about it. Hargeet, you've talked about it. So has Kay, so have I. We, as old school cats, would have never sanctioned or signed off on multiplat. The fact that Gears of War Reloaded is going to be on PlayStation is still super weird, but it's the business. And we may not like it, sure, but that's where these MAUs come from. It comes from Minecraft. It comes from Call of Duty. It comes from everything that Microsoft owns. And, I'm not saying this is happening tomorrow, but at some point, they're going to have to go somewhere else outside their own fan base to get these MAUs if they're switching there. Let's get your thoughts on the CFO's announcement.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is always going to be the case. They want to get more average revenue per user, right? That's the holy grail is really just ARPU increases, right? And, the announcement comes amongst many obvious things that are changing. But one of the problems here is for PlayStation to get there, they need games that actually matter. And unfortunately, they don't have them. That's just a frank reality. People seem to think that their games are these massive. You mentioned one of them. Astro won Game of the Year, but had like 2 million sales, right? Like that's not engagement levels that matter. It's just not. Right. Minecraft is a far better thing that Xbox has that has a kid-friendly game that just generates money over money over money, including hundreds of millions in sales. Like it's just the way it is, right? So what Xbox is doing is saying, where can we increase our customer base, our engagement? And a lot of that, let's also understand, they bought King. We keep forgetting that. King has massive MAUs, massive. Okay. And that's a part of the number. And then on top of that, they have these black hole games that like Call of Duty that people just buy and keep playing, right? Xbox is in a position where they actually have what PlayStation is looking for. But that's because they have Daddy Microsoft to say, oh, we want to buy that for $2.5 billion. Oh, no problem. You want to buy that for $7.5 billion? Oh, no problem. Well, you want to buy that for $70 billion? Oh, no problem. Right? They can do that. It's not easy for Sony to do that. So they're trying to build their own games. They bought Bungie, which in my view, that has been a massive epic fail. They have just not gotten their value. They just have not. It's been a waste of money.
Yes.
Marathon is... I'm sorry, but it's looking like the trajectory of Concord. It's just not. It's not getting that engagement that you would expect.
Could you imagine two Concords in one generation?
Hey, Boom! I would tell you one thing. Our console war, obviously, I will have a great day.
Yeah,
I'll be talking so much trash. They'll never hear the end of it.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
I'm not that like to that level because I like Bungie because of what they've done with Halo, but It will be sad because that will pretty much mean the end of Bungie, at least as we know it. Team LFG, the announcement with gummy bears. Are you serious? This is the game you're greenlighting? Gummy bears? Honestly, like, look at that description and tell me who's excited. Who's excited to play that game? What are they? They canceled the games that I would have been much more excited to play something like a Spider-Man Multiverses. That sounded really cool to me. They canceled that game. Okay.
How about a Twisted Metal?
Twisted Metal.
They had a Twisted Metal.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Factions, on and on. They canceled the games that people would actually play. And they're putting out gummy bears? Really? Like, this thing had better be special because, like, from the description, I'm like, are you out of your minds? What are you even thinking? But that's what Team LFG is working on. Okay, whatever. They have put out fail after fail after fail when it comes to this, except for Helldivers, which I'll give kudos to that team. But that's not their game. That was Arrowhead, right? I think that's the name of the studio that had a cool concept, made a sequel, made it better. It's working. Fantastic. Yes, they own the IP. I get that. But that was that studio's game, and that's why it worked. Everything that they have greenlit has been just a disaster. I don't know what's going on with that like management team, where it used to be they could find all the good stuff. The people that did that are gone. It's ridiculous what they're putting out. Intergalactic, I still gave it like, okay, this seems okay. I'll give it a chance. PlayStation players hated it. They have a massive dislike to like ratio on that. And like, how is this where they are today? This is PlayStation today. So you have to have games that matter. Here's the thing that I've been thinking about lately is like, when that Gears E-Day came up, that trailer comes up, you had grown man tears with people saying, oh my God, this is the best thing. Like, yeah, great. Tell me when that's happened in PlayStation in the last like 3 years. What do they have that makes you excited? Tell me, like, what? I'm looking for that thing that says this is why I need to be on PlayStation. And I'm sorry, it's just not there. Okay, this Gears E-Day, let's say it launches everywhere. I don't care. They're bringing stuff that makes me emotionally attached. I actually give a shit. What is PlayStation doing? There's really not much. I mean, I'm still happy that Ghost of Yotai is being made. I'll get to check it out on PC. Hopefully it's a good game. I hope it is. What do they have? That like Xbox is just giving you game after game after game after game after game after game. What do they have to counter that? Like, not much. They don't. Now they want this monthly active user stuff. Great. But that comes from materializing something that keeps people engaged with your platform. Ultimately, if Xbox keeps doing this, it's going to be very hard for PlayStation to continue to increase that monthly active engagement. It just will. Right now, they have Destiny that bumped it up quite a bit. And PlayStation players, the PS Plus and all that stuff, I don't know where they are because they've stopped publishing the numbers. Usually when that happens, that means what? It's not looking good.
Right.
Are they increasing it? I don't know because they haven't told us. So we have no idea. What is the PS Plus number now? I have no idea. So, okay, that's the way it is. To be fair, Game Pass hasn't told us much either. We've gotten some industry analysts telling us, but that's really it. This is kind of where things are. Monthly engagement is obviously on the side of Xbox here. You take the other big platform here, Nintendo, and again, they just kind of keep doing their thing. They keep selling tons of consoles. They keep selling tons of copies of their games. We'll see if that changes with this generation. We'll see. It doesn't look like it's really going to change that much, but it could slow down. We'll see. But when it comes to PlayStation and monthly active users, you have to have compelling content to make that grow. I don't know that they have it. They're basically banking on people being on their platform and buying third-party stuff. And that's what they said in their freaking financials. They're looking to go down in revenue next year. Just think about that.
Yeah.
They're looking to go down in revenue next year. That's their forecast. That's not cool. You don't expect to go down. You're supposed to find a way to go up. What the heck are they doing? So this is PlayStation. Going forward, I'm not sure where they're going to be right now. In the top 10, they're number one in revenue. Next is Tencent. So 31 billion, 10 cents, 27. Xbox is at like 21. That can change this year as it grows and keeps growing. They could potentially, Xbox could go ahead of Tencent. And then it goes to where is Sony? If they keep decreasing revenue, guess where Xbox ends up? So Xbox is supposed to be dead, but they're not dead at all.
Yeah.
Just to round it out, the top 10, Apple, who makes no games, but they take people's money from games, which is a whole other new topic because Apple just got slapped and they have to now allow other stores, which may take away from that revenue. NetEase, Nintendo, EA, Epic, Take-Two, and Embracer, of all people, is number 10. But that's kind of the top 10. If this continues, where is Sony going to end up? And I don't know where this heads, but Xbox has been doing like the right steps of saying, we don't care where you play. We just want you as a customer. And ultimately, that just works. It just works, right? Allowing your games to be owned anywhere. You buy it once, play it wherever you want. That's a very cool consumer-friendly thing to do. And if you keep going down this path of like, no, we're a locked ecosystem, we're not going to do cross entitlement. Okay, people will eventually say, why do I need you? What is it you're bringing to the table? If they don't have stellar games every freaking quarter or month or whatever, because look, Xbox is putting out games every month.
Yeah, they are.
It's just the way it is.
It's crazy, like to the point where I can't even keep up as a gamer. It's just too much.
and if that continues, that trend continues. Let's say they put out 8 to 10 games every year. Nintendo has been doing that, by the way, every year. They've been putting out 8 to 10 games themselves. Where's Sony's response to this? And I don't see them changing that, right? So they've tried with like, let's go get Kadokawa. That didn't work out. They've just announced a partnership. I don't know if it was there already, but with Bandai. Again, they're not going to buy them. They don't have that kind of capital, but they're doing something there. Again, what does that mean from an overall perspective? Where are they? Are they just banking on like Tencent on other companies doing stuff and we will just take a profit share? Okay, that's something fine. But where are they going to be long term? And in the gaming world, if you want this MAUs, you need to have games that matter, right? When Tears of the Kingdom showed its stuff, you had the same grown man tears. When E-Day came out, if Halo gets shown, tell me there won't be grown man tears. Okay,
I got news for you. Expect me to go crazy if they mention Banjo-Kazooie because I'm yelling Banjo Bros as loud as I can.
But what do they have that's going to bring that? And that is the problem, right? They talk about their main focus is content, condo, emotion. That's what they want. Let me give you another little fun thing. They're saying they're pivoting away from the consumer electronics world to emotional content. They're seeing majority of their money is being made on content, on IP. What does that leave them with? The entirety of Sony got big because of consumer electronics. That's a segment they're failing in. The only thing in consumer electronics that works for them is their imaging sensors and their cameras. Okay, cool. Which is something they should continue. Fair enough, right? Doesn't mean that a PlayStation console, which is consumer electronics, is exactly the focus they have. Where does this go in the future? If they want to grow, they need to make bold moves, get something that works already in the mobile space. You need to have mobile, no way around it, and on the PC space. Go figure out what you want to do there and get rid of this idea that you have console exclusivity, because that's just not a good way to go. If you want that engagement, it's everywhere. You have to go everywhere. That's how Microsoft is at 500 million, right? If you want to have, a couple 100 million, you want to grow, their current growth is incremental 5%. Okay. If that's happy, that's good for you. Good enough, right? How long will it take for you to even catch up to 500 million? I might be dead. Good luck with that. But, if you want to grow to a couple of 100 million, you're going to have to make bold moves. And this idea that, we're going to lock this to here, get out of here. That crap is over. Forget it. You can't lock anything. Put it everywhere. You already have a cloud service. Use it. You already have freaking games on PC. Do it day and date. What are you thinking? Get rid of the stupid mode of like, we have to Your console is not making you the revenue you're expecting. It's declining. You expected more. It's not happening. So you need to change your tune. Take your service, put it on PC. Try to gain customers there. There's no reason not to. You've chosen to lock yourself. This is on you. You want to go into a bigger space, compete at a bigger space. You already have an equivalent. You have Microsoft doing exactly what you want to do. You're just too reticent to do the same goddamn thing. Nothing stops you from doing the same things they're doing except you. You can't buy the big companies. That doesn't mean you can't change your tune on what you're doing to make things better for your consumer so they're attracted to you as a customer. That's on you. Continue this pattern and you're not going to grow the way you're thinking. Your competitors are going to take your lunch. You have to be careful about where you are. Top dog today, but we know top dog today means nothing tomorrow. Anything can change at any time. Competitors will come and eat your lunch. You have to, just like Asante was saying, indies are coming in and saying, that's nice, but I can have something that's better and I'll just do it myself. And today, this year, Expedition 33, ex-devs from Ubisoft, right, saying, all right, well, we can just, with 30 guys, we can just make a game that, takes over everything. All right, fair enough. Split Fiction.
Yeah.
Blueprints. The top games. These are all small, little developers, small indie.
Yep.
This is the way it is, right? So, continue your path. Continue your stupidity. I don't know, man. It might be better to think about how you can maximize your profits as well. You've got a competitor doing it. You're welcome to copy them. We'll see how this all works out, but that's kind of my thoughts on monthly engagement. Yes, it's as far as those people who are still stuck in the old world of my console, my exclusives. Good for you. Yep. That's not where the world is. All these companies need to make money. That's just the end result. Most of the times when these things fail, what happened to this studio? It's dead. It's gone. It's gone. Several hundred people lost their jobs. It's gone. That's what happens. You're going to have to be careful with these ideas of exclusives. It doesn't matter. Most of the studios that made all those cool exclusives are gone, including the PlayStation ones. They're gone. They're shut down. You're going to keep seeing this unless you say, no, we're going to focus on making sure the game has enough funding based on it being where it needs to be to get engagement. That's got to be it. Now, they don't have the luxury that Microsoft has with all these black hole games. That's going to be a problem. I mean, Destiny is there. Hopefully it continues. Helldivers, I don't know how much money they're making on Helldivers, but that's there, and that's basically all they've got. So, at least from my memory. So I don't know what's going to happen with Marathon, but I have a bad feeling it's going to end up like this. And good luck, right? They're expecting a lot of revenue from that. That's what their expectation is for growth. And I'm like, are you paying attention? I don't think you're getting it. Good luck. Basically, you're a third party, console that allows, makes money based on third parties. Otherwise, you're not really making money on your own stuff. But they're expecting that first party is going to pick up again when they release Yotai and Marathon. I'm like, all right, good luck. But what wasn't mentioned was Fair Games. I don't even know where that is. Why the heck they're still funding that game? I don't know, because that didn't look like it was a winner either.
I remember.
But hey, whatever.
Greg Miller predicted that Fair Games would be canceled too. Yeah. That was his.
I mean, I don't disagree, but like, make the decision instead of wasting the money. Either put that thing out or whatever, cancel the game and whatever they're going to do with the studio. I don't know, man. I don't see a lot of fun over there. A lot of the PlayStation fans, when I listen to them, any of their stuff, it's always they're miserable. They're not happy, not having fun. Compare that to us. We're just having fun. We just got this game right here, right? You have it on the background here. We just keep getting games. We're just having fun, whatever, right? Like, enjoy gaming. That was the intent. We're supposed to have fun with games. Their side is miserable, but okay, enjoy your misery.
It's very difficult to even respond to that. Both Dirt and Hargeet have knocked it out of the park. I think there's a lot more questions at PlayStation, which is why they've made so many big changes in leadership, and now they're changing their direction on console sales. Because again, if you just look at the quarterlies, which I have in front of me, okay, now the quarterlies for PlayStation, it was reported that PlayStation hardware was down 30%. Right, but they still sold a bunch of consoles. I think it was 2.6 or 2.8 million in that quarter period. And I look again, I don't know this for a fact, but I think that the Grand Theft Auto 6 delay, if anyone's hurt by it, that's not Rock's, the 2K, it's probably PlayStation, because that was going to be their they have the marketing. At least we think they have the marketing. That would have been big to sell consoles, because what they want to do is move people from PS4 and PS4 Pro to PS5, even if it's just the discless, one, and it's the cheapest one they have, which we don't know how long cheaper, because second half of the podcast, we're going to get into the potential price hikes. We'll get to that in a second, but they had hardware down 30%. They had network services up 15%, which that's excellent. They were down in total gaming revenue, -4%. Now, Microsoft's last reported quarterly was hardware was down again, and this is like, I don't know how many quarters it's consecutive. It could be 4, it could be 5, it could even be more. But they've had significant drops in their console sales. We all know that. This is not a surprise. Mm-hmm. They were up 8% in content and services, and that's where you got that number of 45% for Xbox Game Pass for PC going up year over year. But their total gaming revenue was 5% in the positive, as opposed to the -4% for PlayStation. So again, the third party scenario, even a lot of us old dogs don't like it. It's making sense. And again, you've heard me talk about this before. Dirt, you've probably even seen some of the videos where I said, what happens when 5, 6, 7 of the top 10 most paid for games on PlayStation are Xbox first party games? That has happened already.
Yeah,
that has already happened.
Yep.
So, and again, they're selling really well on PlayStation. Why are they selling well on PlayStation? Because they're starving over there. Sony's not feeding the masses. But let's bring in Keosante. Keosante, let's talk about these MAUs, because this is is it surprising to any of us? Not really, because we're in the business of reading lots of articles and podcasting multiple times a week. So, the tea leaves basically say that it's going to be engagement that they're going to want to judge. It's not, console sales are great. Mm-hmm. Console sales are important. Let's not make a mistake of that. But this switch to MAUs, like in Dirt's video, pissed off a lot of the PlayStation loyalists that think that is a bad move. And I kind of agree with Dirt that I think you got to let the billion-dollar corporation run themselves and not have the ones from the sideline running the show, because they'll be bankrupt.
Yeah.
Let's get your thoughts on the switch from console sales and the fiscal responsibility aspect of it. Is they can't have another Concord, but they might with Marathon.
So to me, this switch from the way they used to calculate things to monthly active users kind of reminds me, and it's not exactly the same, so go there with me, but it kind of reminds me of when Netflix switched from DVDs to digital sales, and people started losing their minds about it, right? Like now, today, in the 2025 world that we live in, does anybody even think that Netflix takes whichever TV that it's on seriously? Meaning, the breakdown of how many people are watching us from an LG TV versus watching us from a Samsung TV versus watching us from a TV versus a phone versus, right? I suspect those numbers and those breakdowns are important to them, right? Because that then allows them to target their ads a bit better and probably target their demographic better based on where you use it. But beyond that, I don't think they see that as a valuable indicator of their successful business, right? They see that as just another platform to deliver their services, right? And here comes where we have been going for the longest time. Y'all have heard me go do the rounds and make my gray beard jokes about it. You've heard me call all of us horseshoe makers. You've heard this. We did this back in 2024. This is what's happening. We knew this was happening then. It was just slowly dribs and drabs. And now the gas is on. And every time you go, but why? They slap you across the face with Doom to Dark Ages and say, shut up and let's go. That's where we are today, right? Honestly, I think this MAU conversation is a valid one, right? They, as you guys have all pointed out, you know, these guys are like, everyone has always assumed that since monthly active users was not the barometer for game consoles in the beginning, that is now like, I don't know, Hollywood accounting or fuzzy math or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't seem to understand that as we've become digitally connected, that is a byproduct of DLC and black hole games, and you know, that's the byproduct of that. And the moment they switch, because let's make it, like, make no mistake about it, I am not happy about this switch to MAUs, specifically from PlayStation, because I don't go to PlayStation for MAU kind of games. I go to PlayStation for beginning, middles, and ends. So if they are no longer looking at the beginning, middles, and ends and using those barometers as their mark of success, that means I'm no longer their target audience, and chances are they will not be speaking to me, right?
Wow,
which means their next Spider-Man may be like MAU capturing rather than some guy who will pay you $60 for your game, right? This is what we must understand. The world is changing beneath our feet, and us graybeards have to get on board, or understand that your children will get on board so they don't need you anymore. That's just the way it is. And I understand that people like to live in the back and forth, right? So when the market leader isn't doing it and PlayStation and Xbox is doing it, now you're going, well, you know, everybody says it's the whole industry, but I only see Xbox doing it. Yeah, but when they are literally like one of the world's biggest publisher, and they move a policy and it literally moves mad other businesses to adapt, it kind of speaks to something, right? When you know, it is what it is. We must learn to understand that the way we saw things are no longer the way they are seen. And the thing that just makes me a little bit not sad, but like it gives me pause, is we can only have this level-headed conversation once PlayStation gets on board. And it happens over and over and over. Like how many times
great points, man.
Me and Everborn Saga, when he was still on the show, we're sitting here talking about, don't listen to what PlayStation's saying. Look at what Xbox did 2 years ago. That's what tell you what they're doing. We like go check the digital receipts. I will wait for you to do so. Like it's all over the place. And they are doing exactly that. And when we say that, it's not to say that, oh, they suck or they're doing this or they're doing that. We see where the business is going. The only difference between the two of them is one is infected with foot and mouth disease where they just can't stop talking, and the other won't say a damn thing, but they're both heading in the same damn direction. That's what's happening. Right?
Wow.
And as the rest of y'all have pointed out astutely, the only reason why they turn around and they make their player base feel like special snowflakes is because they can't afford to just be like, all right, we bought ABK. Now we don't need y'all no more. If they could, your services would no longer be needed. That's just the way it is.
Wow.
Right?
Points.
It is what it is. So that's it.